Welcome to De-Stress Your Business, the podcast where we show you how to get incredible results in your business without constant stress. I'm Paddy Mann, a serial entrepreneur and founder at Air Manual, and today I'm on my own as Alexis is on the road, and despite best efforts, internet woes have won him over, and he has failed to connect today. So not a problem. I've got some great content today. We are going to be looking at something which builds on our last few episodes. Last few episodes, we've been talking about how to manage issues in your team or business. And the techniques we've covered work for almost every issue that comes up. But once every so often, you get a bigger issue landing on your plate. This is the kind of issue that poses an immediate and significant threat to your business. It can't wait for the next meeting. It needs your attention now. So in this episode, I'm going to be looking at how to respond to these, what we call incidents, how to avoid them becoming a huge stress point for you, your team, and your customers. So to start off, what kind of issues am I actually talking about here? I said this doesn't apply to most of the issues. Most of the issues that you have on a day-to-day basis, you can pick up and manage using the process that we've described, where essentially you want to capture it, you want to avoid it derailing your team, and then when you have meetings, you can review it as a team and take the next steps. But as we said, these are the types of issues that can't wait for the next meeting. So some examples, it could be that your website has gone down, and particularly if your website is a big source of your revenue, of your business, that your customers need to see it. Website's gone offline. You can't wait until the next meeting tomorrow. You need to jump on it. Another example, perhaps a laptop, might be yours, might be your co-founders or colleagues. It's been stolen and it's got some client confidential data on it. This is something that you need to park all the other goals that you're working on, and you know you need to jump on it. Third example I put out there, what about a team member who's posted a offensive social media post, and you've just realized that customers have become aware of it? Again, this isn't business as usual. You're going to want to jump on this incident. So these are the big ones. These are the ones where it can... You may be used to fighting kind of small fires in your business. These are the big fires. These are the ones that can cause immense amounts of stress for you, for your team. And if you don't manage it well, it will cause a lot of pain for your customers as well. Now, hopefully, these aren't the ones that come up so often. Well, certainly not as often as your smaller issues. Something that I've observed over time, over the last 10 years of running businesses, is that they seem to... we have a phrase in England about a bus doesn't turn up and then suddenly two turn up at once. With issues, with incidents, we tend to find that they come in, don't come for a very long time. And actually at this point, I don't think we've had one in 6 months, 8 months, maybe more. But when they do come, it's so often that we tend to see 2 or 3 in a short amount of time, and it can cause real havoc. It can really screw up your goals that you're trying to achieve in that 2-week period or in the quarter. It can cause a lot of stress for the team, who get frustrated both at the stress of the incident, but the feeling of not making progress because of the derail. So let's say that one of these incidents has occurred. Where do you want to be as a business owner, as a business leader, so that you can respond to it in a way that it won't completely remove the stress, but it minimizes the stress for your team and for yourself, and it can greatly reduce the impact and potential stress for your customers? Well, as you would expect, there is a fairly standard way that bigger businesses would handle this, and that even as a small business, you can be putting a system, a process in place to make this really easy for you and your team to know exactly what to do every time it happens. So I'm going to talk you through the high level steps that you would need to go through as part of this process. And then later I'm going to also point you to a resource that we've created, which is a template which you can then use. So don't worry about memorizing every step. And there's actually a bit more detail in the template that I'll share. But let me give you a high level overview. So the shit has hit the fan. Everything is going wrong. You've realized your website has gone offline. It's costing you money. What should happen? The first step is to activate the incident response. And that might sound slightly trivial or, well, duh. But actually, this is a really important part to be in the process. It's like, when do you activate it? How bad of an issue does it need to be to derail other priorities and get people's attention? Often it won't be you as a leader, as a business owner, who sees that something has gone wrong. So your team needs to know the situation, the set of criteria that are needed in order to activate the process. And the kind of things you're thinking about is it going to have a significant impact on our business, on perhaps the finances, on our reputation, on our ability to hit goals? And is it something that cannot be managed as business as usual? If it can be managed as business as usual, which is to say it's not so urgent that it can't wait for the next meeting and be managed in that way, then it doesn't need to be an incident. But with the examples I shared earlier, with website being offline or confidential data lost, then it's not going to be possible to wait. So you need to activate it. The next thing you're going to want to do in your process is to assemble the team. Now, the first and most important person is going to be the incident response leader. That would often, if you've got a business owner leader or business leader, that may be you. But the team need to know who it would normally be, and if that person isn't available, who else to contact. The incident response leader will then want to assemble a wider team of people who are going to be able to tackle the incident, and that might include someone who's going to take responsibility for trying to resolve the incident, and it might include someone who's going to take responsibility for communications, particularly to external parties, including your customers. It could be that the incident response leader takes all of those roles, but particularly once you've had an incident response process for a while, it's great to be in a position where many team members know exactly what they're doing and can take on those different responsibilities. As you can imagine, it's great to have different people focus on those different parts of the challenge and being able to manage it. And then for one person on top, the incident response leader, to take responsibility and manage it. So you've assembled the team, you'll be briefing the team, you'll be letting the rest of the company know what's going on. The next step would be to resolve the incident. You would want to contain the incident. So essentially look at, can we stop it from getting any worse? Diagnose what's gone wrong and fix it. At the same time as all of those three steps, and this is often where it gets tricky, you need to be thinking about communications, and particularly, again, external communications. So the website's down. Do you need to put out messages to your customers? Some confidential data has been lost. Do you need to be letting customers know immediately? Do you have bits in your contracts with your customers that say that you've got to let them know within a certain period? At some point, you may need to let some of the, with certain data security issues, let some of the regulatory bodies know that there's been a data breach. So you're doing these two things at once. You're trying to contain, diagnose, and fix it, but you're also trying to communicate it. And that's why it's great to, where possible, to have two people managing those areas. At some point, you're going to be able to close the incident, and that's going to be the point when you now believe that any remaining actions can be picked up by your business as usual processes. So it might not be that you have fully fixed the problem, But it may be that you now realize it's no longer a big risk to the business or to your customers. The communications that needed to happen urgently have happened, and any remaining actions can be picked up by the team over the coming days and weeks. So at that point, brilliant, you're able to close the incident. You're able to stand down the team, let the business know. And one important step you'll also do is schedule a post-mortem. And the post-mortem, that's kind of the final stage. That's where after a week or maybe 2 weeks, a week is great. You'll get the people who were part of the team and potentially a few others, bring them together and review what happened, what led to it happening in the first place, how it was managed, and the resulting outcomes, whether it was truly solved or whether there have been other problems afterwards. And that post-mortem is the opportunity for you to essentially look at how to make your business more robust and look at ways that you can make it less of an impact, less stressful, easier to manage next time. So that's it. There's kind of these 5 steps: activating it, assembling the team, resolving the incident, closing the incident down, and a post-mortem. And that might sound, well, oh man, that's big and scary, but having that ready for when these things happen, it just makes such a difference. Initially, as a business owner, I needed to support it the first few times for sure, to actually check that the whole thing worked end to end, to make other people comfortable with how that process would work. But nowadays, I can have incidents in either of my businesses, and the team will pick it up. They know what to do. They know how to manage it. They know how to do the communications. Over time, we add in useful resources like email templates that we could use given different types of incident, which come about because we've experienced that before. And as a business owner, what's the impact? It means I can take a 4-week holiday. And even if terrible things happen, which previously would have been me running down a mountain to find my laptop and internet and jumping on to putting on my firefighting hat and so on to lead the team into the fires and solve this. And instead, I stay up the mountain and I have a nice walk with my family. So it's an interesting one. As I said at the start, these incidents don't necessarily happen very often. And when you're really early in a business, it's rare that something will be such a high impact that it needs to be raised as an incident when you don't have so many customers. But as you start to grow, you will start to have these issues. It's easy not to prioritize the incident response process, but I got to say it's one of my favorites. And one of the reasons that I'm sharing it with you now so early in this podcast is because I think it's a great illustration of how far you can take your internal processes to de-stress your business. It's not just about the simple tasks and the ones you can delegate, the sending the invoice, the repurposing your podcast, the reviewing the code. It's you can put processes and systems to basically handle any eventuality. And this is an example where whatever happens, whatever disaster strikes, you're giving your team and business a way of handling it in a low stress. Of course, there's going to be some stress, some sinking feeling. Someone might have made a mistake, but to do it in a structured way where they're confident in the steps that they need to take, the way that it needs to be communicated, when it can be stood down, whether it needed to be raised in the first place. And that just makes a huge difference. It just gives the team confidence in what they're doing. They don't need to worry about it. And something that comes from the post-mortem process is we would always review that and look at where we can improve our processes. Again, as we shared the other day, never assume it's a people issue. Always look for the systems. And so the team are always comfortable that there will be a post-mortem, that we will be working out what went wrong and caused the incident in the first place, and that we'll be taking steps after that to make the business more robust, put more processes in, put better alerts in, provide better training, whatever. And that's just incredibly reassuring to them to know that, yes, something went wrong today, but the same thing shouldn't go wrong tomorrow. Final point I'll just quickly share is, okay, what about training? So you create your incident response process and tell that, there's a document, a checklist that the team can follow when it happens. But that's going to be pretty scary for the team the first time around. So what about training? Now, ideally, what you want to do is kind of do a training session, and a kind of you could have a fake incident. You could get the whole team gathered around. You could go through the steps and really model it out. And this is something that they recommend as part of data security best standards and practices, and generally is a great thing to do. Now, I'm not going to say that isn't a great thing to do, but I'll say the reality in most small businesses is that it's very difficult to take the whole team out for a big chunk of a day or a week to plan this event, to do this big test and check that everything runs smoothly. I'll say what we've done in practice is that we know that incidents do occur. We expect a few of them to happen every year. I think our average in our company is about once every 3 months. Typically, we'll get 3 at once and then a big break before the next one. But it's about once every 3 months that there'll be something of this nature. And so we'll use the actual incidents to train the team. And so we'll make sure that someone experienced is there initially, which is what would happen if you didn't have this process anyway. You'd essentially need the most senior team members to jump in, parachute in, and fight the fire. Instead, it's going to be the senior team member who's going to guide them through the checklist that you've created. And you help them through that process to understand what's going on. You want to make sure that you are involving the team in the incidents so that they get exposure to it. Even if they might not be contributing a huge amount, get them to see what it looks like so that they can do the next time. And if there's anything that needs to be improved, then that will be picked up in the post-mortem. Okay, I hope that's useful. I did share that we've created a template so that we've got a really structured incident response process that you can use in your own business. The process is frankly awesome. I say that because I helped with it myself. There will be a link in the show notes or a comment if you're looking in LinkedIn Live with this template, and you can just take that and start using it today. It will take you through those 5 steps: activating it, the process, assembling the team, resolving the incident, closing it, and the post-mortem. It will take you through those steps with a bit more detail about how to do each one and specific steps to go through. Now, as our regular listeners know, we run a weekly webinar. It's all about how to free up 15 hours per week and remove the constant stress of running a business without slowing down growth. We're running it every Wednesday at 1 p.m. UK time at the moment, and you can find out more and register at www.airmanual.co/webinar. That's www.airmanual.co/webinar. Final note: particularly if you're listening to the podcast, which is going to be launched a little bit after this episode, we're going to hopefully launch next week. As a new podcast, we need your help. It makes a huge difference early on if you can get some honest reviews. It helps the podcast get more visibility, and it'll help more people to hopefully take a lot of value from this podcast. So if you've found this valuable, please go and leave an honest review. It'll take you 30 seconds or a minute, and I will be indebted to you and owe you a pint or a drink of whatever you like the next time that we meet. So appreciate any help we can get, and until next time, have fun.